Hey, good morning, people. Good morning. Yes, good morning here from Rwanda. Good morning, good morning. Yes, this is Spirit Journey. How you all doing? Yes, today is, oh wow, it is Wednesday, October 23, 2024. And right now it is about, trying to get the right time. Oh wow, it's about 2:30 in the morning here. Yeah, I've been up now for like an hour. Wow, yeah, I fell asleep early and I'm up now. Yes, I'm just on the couch right now, relaxing. Wow. Yeah, I was just waking up and I had my monitor on and it was playing videos. And I woke up to this, I'm sorry, this news event regarding the company, the former CEO company of Abercrombie and Fitch. Um, he was arrested. His name is Jeff Mike Jeffries. Okay, he and two other men were arrested for. It says here he's charged with S trafficking. Uh, yes, is what I'm just waking up to. And I just want to talk to you about my thoughts about this whole thing. Um, I have a lot of emotions. Again, my sympathies for the victims of this type of exploitation. It is evil. It is evil in nature. It's evil to take somebody and to trick them, force them to do things with their body. That is what's evil about this whole thing. Um, in this indictment that was done, um, the victims, I forget how many of them. Um, it's quite a few that came out, and they're not using their names. They're John Does in this indictment. People who are pressing charges. Um, what stands out with this, the the speaker, the person that is like given the briefing on the this arrest is, well, someone asked in the audience, well, how did they find out? They said, oh well, the um, media, something like that, media, and they said that when they heard that, they then investigated. So I feel like a little irritated. Okay, now they're saying that about media talk. Um, so none of these people went to the police. If it's media talk, and they only these investigators are just jumping because of media, people people talk all over. So why now? My anger that I'm feeling, and it's not at the victim, but my anger for the victim. I'm angry because it's like things are done. Things are being done and people talk. And so I don't understand why. If you're just hearing things in the media slash gossip, but not that someone is coming to uh, the police station and say, hey, this has happened to me. That's not what was being said. And so it's really irritating me because I'm sure that things were being said for a long time or hearsay. He said because of the talk, oh, they want to investigate. Yeah, and this arrest happened in New York City, where I'm from. I'm from New York City, born and raised in New York City, and I moved about 10. Uh, I moved the first time in December last year, 2023, and then again in 2020, January 2024, and been here since. But I'm irritated because I feel that it's BS about how it's being said. That, oh, you hear something, and oh, we just invent. There are a lot of things that are being said over the years, and no one's done a thing if they want to. See, I think what's happening that, especially that it's New York City. New York City is Sin City. It's a very, very lot of evil that happens there. And a lot of, you participate, you do this or that, or else you're considered a square, right? Culture, it promotes puke, it promotes evil. And if you disagree with it, if you disagree lifestyle choices, if you disagree, you're a square. And you're not lifted up, you're ashamed. So my emotions are a little, um, it's kind of bouncing all over the place. And again, my anger is not at the victim. It is at the system. Um, I've seen a lot of things in New York City where I used to live, the culture, the media. And what I wrote in the description, um, I said, well, what about the model actress, Brook Shields? See, many of you may not even know Brook Shields is. See, it's a new generation now. Um, I graduated from high school in 1980, so that's 44 years ago. But even before I graduated from high school, there was an actress. She was a model slash actress. And she's 2 years younger than me. I graduated from high school at 17. I was 17 and a half. And there was a model slash actress by the name of Brooke Shields. And she was the flavor of, for years. It up. She was the flavor for years in the culture, the culture that was being promoted in America. Um, she used to. She was a runway. She did runway work, but I think she really, catapulted as a face model. She did a lot of cover model. Yeah, she was on many, many magazine covers. She was even on Time magazine. I think it was a 1980 issue. Yeah, she was on it. And she's a young girl, heavily made up, and her trademark was her very thick eyebrows. Yeah. And she had what they call a stage mother. The mother they lived in New Jersey at that time, and then the mother would bring her to New York City for her modeling gigs. Okay. And yeah, she was the mother, the stage mother, very stereotypical a mom who was very uh, domineering, allegedly, very, very so-called protective over her daughter and wanting things to happen for the daughter. Brook Shields, again, she was a minor. She was a child. And what stands out to me at this time, Brooke Shields, she was on, man, she was on many, many shows. Okay, she's a minor. She was about 15 years of age. And she was being paraded around talk show hosts, adult talk shows. Um, and she was just being honored just to be what she was, a young female who dressed like an adult. Yeah, I remember that. She was on a lot. She was on, uh, let's see, and yeah, a lot of family shows. And where was she's paraded as the young girl, teenager, who dressed and carried herself like a woman. Now, I did at the time. I did watch Brooke Shields. She's just a little younger than me. And I think when you're a young person, you look for other young people to, uh, I guess maybe like, I mean, you watch you watch someone of your age group, but always question her, how come she's um, able to dress and act like that? I remember. Yeah, she did commercials. She was famous. Shields was famous for the Calvin Klein jeans. Yeah, back in the late 70s, early 80s, 1980s, I should say, were the jeans. Designer jeans were the it. It was heavily pushed. Jeans, designer jeans were heavily pushed for you to buy. And I remember they were very, very expensive. Yeah, I think it was like 80 something bucks or even more. A lot of money. And back then, I didn't have that kind of money. Yeah, they was very expensive. And Brooke Shields did many Calvin Klein is a designer, a famous designer. Calvin Klein TV ads to promote his product, jeans. And I remember one in particular. Said, Brooke Shields is sitting on the floor, heavily made up. She had long, long brunette hair, and she had her legs spread apart so you could see her arch. And I remember uh, the slogan was, "Nothing gets between me and my Calvins," something like that. And I was um, confused. I was confused because it's like you're saying one thing, but you're also saying something else at the same time. And I understand now as an adult, again, as a teenager, I understand very well now after all these years, 44 years, or over 44 years, this commercial. Yeah. Um, what it's saying is that she's inviting you. She's talking two things at the same time. She's saying no, nothing's in between, but yes, she is inviting the viewer to get in between she and her Calvins, if you know what I mean. And these are what a lot of these commercials were in those days. Again, this is like 44 years ago or more. But I remember as a young girl, teen just starting out, yeah, 1980, I got my first little job, paying job, and I started college. Yeah, my job started in August and my school started in September. It was first year in college, first semester ever in college. And all these things that I was seeing, I remember I had a big break in college between classes, and I remember going to we had this store in this city called Bloomingdale's. Bloomingdale's was a considered a higher end store, and I was just fascinated with all the lights and everything. Yeah, I was just so mesmerized. It was an attractive store, a very pricey store. And I remember going in Bloomingdale's on was that Lexington and the east side of Manhattan, and they had the store set up like according to brand names. And I remember going in the Calvin Klein's section of the store, and I remember there was a poster or poster of Shields, and Brook Shields was very, very tall. She was at least 5'10" or taller, very tall, very slim. And I remember the pose. And I remember, after seeing all those commercials, and here I was a young 17-year-old, first time I was in the so-called real world, real adult world, and trying to make sense out of everything, and wanted to break from being a so-called child to become an adult. What was it? What did it mean to be an adult? And so I remember going into the Calvin Klein department, and I remember taking a pair of jeans and putting them on. Honey, those jeans were hard to put on. Yeah, I remember, boy, yeah, the jeans phenomenon started, I think, around 1976, 77. Yeah, it went back that far. I remember. Yes, hello, viewer. Yeah, I remember the jeans. Yeah, they came back, it came out early in the 1970s, the jeans. And they were so tight. They were so tight, these jeans. And again, they cost a lot of money and they're real stiff. And I was very, very skinny. I was extremely skinny back then. Um, and even in my being thin, it was too hard for me to even put on. Yeah, it's getting warm in here now. Yeah, good morning, viewers. Good morning. I'm talking about remember back in the day, in the late 70s, early 80s. Remember Calvin Klein jeans and Brook Shields? Remember those ads? Yeah, I have my monitor on right there. And I woke up to a video just about Abercrombie and Fitch, former CEO arrested for sex trafficking, and two other people alongside him. And I'm remembering things as a youngster and my anger about this whole, it's like they acting like it's just starting. This whole sex trafficking. So I remember, hey, what about Brooke Shields? So yeah, I remember I was a teen at the time. And yeah, I went into Bloomingdale's in Manhattan, and I was looking in the mirror, and I was posing just like the poster, what Brooke Shields was doing, to trying to connect. And I remember, I think about now how foolish it was, kind of foolish. But see, when you're young, you're very impressionable. You're impressionable about the things that you look at, and it alters your behavior. You want to fit in. You want to feel like, they're pushing this thing. What they're pushing is sex, sexuality, and young sexuality. again, Brooke Shields was younger than me. I was 17 at the time. Shields was 15 years old at the time. And here she was doing these commercials with Calvin Klein jeans, dressing how she was dressing. And no one blinked an eye. And so I'm confused because this prosecutor that, on the monitor right now, yeah, let me show you the screen. Let me turn it around. Let's see. So you know what I'm looking at. Okay, let me turn it around. See that? He's like an investigator. Okay, as you see there, it says, okay, live now from Fox, presser on X, was SEX traffic, Brooklyn, New York, viewer discretion advised, etc. Okay, okay, okay. So that's what I'm looking at. Yeah, so it's happened. My thoughts are really racing. And again, as I said earlier when I started, that I feel anger. I feel like uh, I'm angry at this person talking because he's saying, "Oh, how did they find out about this?" They said, it was in something about the media. It's like, wait a minute. What do you mean the media after? Because I'm thinking in terms like 1970s, 1980s, and they used young models, young female models, and they were acting like little women, but they were minors. And they were paraded around adult talk shows, and they just what they call being a sex pot. That's what they were called, sex pots. And no one ever brought up that this was wrong, really, and that it was cute. It was considered, oh, isn't this cute? The little teenager child pretending to be an adult, and no one really said anything back then. Um, and not like this now. Um, yeah, I was very confused at this age. It's like you're a child and you're seeing this stuff, and it's like, um, if you don't wear the jeans, then you're not in the in crowd. And part of me wanted to be in the in crowd, but part of me is, that's not me. You know, um, I don't want people to be staring at my body like that. I was very shy, but at the same time, society is saying, go out there, dress sexy. Remember the girls, some of the girls used to wear T-shirts and it had their name on it. What are they really saying? What is it saying? I remember all these things as a teenager, many, many years ago. And so I'm really confused. And also in the 1980s, yeah, there was the face of the 80s. They were scouting around for models to be the face of the 80s. I remember the face of the 80s. It was a modeling, a very top, one of the top modeling agencies also in this city. And they were doing this push to recruit young girls, to compete in the face of the 80s. It was 1980. And they were to be push these girls to be um, top of the line. So, oftentimes a girl becomes a model because she wants to be an actress and so on and so on. Remember that? I remember this so clearly. And I remember I even visited modeling agencies. Yeah, I had very, very low self-esteem people. Yeah, I was a young Black girl from New York City and being bombarded by ads on television, newsprint. Yeah, and back then we had magazine covers. not so much now. In New York City, we used to have newsstands, and the newsstands in the walk and in the subway stations, all over magazines, fashion magazines. And I was just a young girl, 17 years old, just starting out. And I wanted to look like those people. I wanted to learn how to put on makeup. And yeah, I wanted to feel like I was older. But at the same time, in my mind, I was very young and I was extremely shy. And so it's like two things were going on in my head. I supposed to be like those, dress sexy, to wear the heavy to wear the makeup. But the other part of me, I didn't want that. But I wanted to feel like it's like they want you to be in the in crowd, because if you're not in the in crowd, you are a square. And being a square was considered bad. But look at it, see how psychology, how they and get people. They make evil appear good and good evil. So that's my mindset when I'm watching this now as an adult, many years later. I mean, seeing about the subject many years later. Yeah, I'm from New York City, and I moved about 10 months ago. But I'm looking at this news footage about Abercrombie and Fitch's former CEO. Now, yeah, New York City, they had a store on Fifth Avenue. It was 50 some street. And it was a big store. It looked really big. And what's weird about the certain store, like it was considered very high end. It was in a high end neighborhood in New York City on Fifth Avenue, if I remember right. Yeah, it was a tourist strip. That strip there in the 50s, 60s, tourists. And I remember they have their door open. And I remember in the summertime, you feel the air conditioning, it'll come out. You feel like you walk past it. So you could get cold air rushing out to you. Yeah, those luxury stores, they all had their doors open because it's hot out there and they want to attract people to come into their store. And the glass was, excuse me, the glass was very, like you couldn't like look into the store. I remember that the glass was tinted. So you had to like, you're curious, hey, what type of stuff, what type of place is this? And I remember they had like a foyer or something like that. So even when you go in, you're not all the way in. You're like in a section within a section of the store. You can't really see beyond the foyer. You have to really go all the way in and see what it was. But yeah, Abercrombie and Fitch was a clothing store, and I remember there were young people. Once in a while, I would see a T-shirt, like a knit top that said Abercrombie and Fitch, and I thought initially Abercrombie and Fitch was a law office, so I didn't like. Yeah, I didn't like lawyers. A lot, yeah. I used to work in legal departments, and I didn't like them. So that's just me. But yeah, I thought. See, I didn't like them because I thought they were a law firm or something. But I remember some of the T-shirts had like a person's face. Maybe it was an advertisement, and it had a guy's face, a young guy's face on it. It said Abercrombie and Fitch, and it had, yeah, it was a male. It was a male's face, like a teen or some early 20s. Yeah, I remember that. But I didn't understand. And yeah, the store had a lot of tourism that went in there. But now, like they say that the CEO of Abercrombie and Fitch store, it was worldwide. His name Mike Jeffries, I think it's, yeah, Abercrombie and Fitch's CEO. Mike Jeffrey arrested. Yeah, he was arrested, and he allegedly, okay, he allegedly did some things to bring people, bring men with specific. He was this announcer uh, was specific that that there were males. They never said female, but they were males. At least the people who are complaining are males that were promised certain things, and that if they did what they were told to do, they would, get a modeling job and other things. Yeah, was um, horrible. Yeah, the modeling industry, excuse me, the modeling industry back then, um, the male division of modeling was smaller than females. Yeah, women were targeted, heavily targeted in the modeling industry. It was larger, had more, they would bring on a lot of women, young females. But yes, they had male divisions, male models too. But I guess see, there's a time and season for everything that matter. That's important to say. There's a time and season, and now is harvest time. They're harvesting what's been festering for over 44 years. Yeah, the time of Brook Shields, that was 44 plus years ago. All this happened. But there's an undercurrent. See, now it seems like this movement, the alphabet soup people, the alphabet soup people is was behind the scenes getting real popular since Obama came into office. Obama to like put the light on the bomb, and it's all getting loose right now. Yeah, this acceptance into certain lifestyles, but behind the scenes it was going on. But 2016, it was pushed out there to celebrate, but with it, getting more victims, young victims in all this. Has been going on for over 40 years. But now, since it's was being embraced for the past, let's say, 10 years, no, not 10, maybe 8 years, things have its season, and it's harvest time. And why now is it being talked about? You know, um, yeah, it seems like a big network, a big network. They entice young people to become models because the modeling industry is considered glamorous and the potential of making. But also, what I remember with this, the modeling industry, and yeah, one time I wanted to be a so called model. I had very low self esteem at the time, and I wanted to be, I wanted to feel accepted. How foolish I was. But I'm being honest because I know there's going to be young people that might see this, or parents that have young people, and the foolery of it. Yes, the modeling industry is a SEX business. I'll repeat. The modeling industry is and always was an SEX business. And they would people from all over the United States would come to New York. People from other countries were being recruited to be a star, to get into movies, to break to movies. See how modeling and movies are really connected? And what about Harvey Weinstein, right? The casting couch. Yeah. All that is taking place. And for years. And no one complained. And that's what's really confusing me because here I was a teenager and seeing all this stuff. But no one called what was happening with Brook Shields child pornography. No one called it that. That's what it was. And she had a mother, what they called a stage mother, who would be responsible because because Brooke Shields was a minor at the time. She had to have an adult, a parent or some adult representing her with her at all times. She had to, Brooke Shields, the child model slash actress, had to have an adult with her at all times. So what about all these other things? Whether and there were male models for Abercrombie and Fitch, clothesline. So what happened? Well, sometimes what it seems like you had parents who were complicit in this trafficking, it seems like. They'll bring them to New York City, or they have someone go to the parents' home. Oh, your child is so beautiful. Oh, we can bring them to New York. Oh, and they might have a male and female team. And bring them. I remember there were news reports about that, like we call documentaries. Yes, they were documentaries, and they would bring the teen to an apartment in New York City. I remember all this. Yeah. And the modeling agencies would set up the teens in apartments, and they had to share apartments with other models. Trafficking. These people were trafficked interstate and international. And the modeling agencies would bring them there and pay for it. the their stay. I'm sorry, my voice. And they will these models to be would go on what they call go-sees. The go-sees. These were like going to photographers and things like that to get exposure, and to build up their portfolio and go to other agencies and try to get jobs. And the model to be felt forced to go to all these go-sees, and a lot of the go-sees were photographers who would take their picture. Yeah, and they'll take it for free when you go on a go-see, you know. And but the photographers many times were perverts. These photographers were usually perverts, or take opportunity to have relations with these young girls. That's what it was. And they all knew about it. All knew about it. Because, yeah, back in the 80s, they had TV shows about it. Um, yeah, they had certain TV shows that talked about the dangers of being bulimic, like with the models, and they had a Brooke Shields like in the that particular show. It was like a show, yeah, a show that highlighted about the dangers of being bulimic. That means, when you eat and then you make yourself, like you purge yourself. I mean, you stuff yourself and then you make yourself throw up, something like that, or just anorexia when you don't eat anything. Yeah. And I remember that. That was in the 1980s. Yeah, so we're saying that like the danger is not because these were young girls, but that it was encouraging young girls to don't eat or to throw up, and they were to keep they were slim. The modeling industry uh, recruited girls who were underweight. You had to be underweight, or let's say you're real pretty, then they'll tell you, the modeling agencies would tell you, you gotta lose weight, right? Yeah. So all these things were going on in the modeling industry. And yeah, these girls felt forced to, okay, because see, that rent is being paid by the modeling agency, and the girls have to pay back the modeling agency because they're staying at the apartment. Yeah, you have more than one girl living in a apartment, and you go out all day looking for photographers to take the picture, to build up their portfolio, uh, and they get and they get hopefully they get accepted to do an assignment. Yeah, and you get paid per assignment, and you got paid well, but but the top models got paid extreme, very high pay. And Brooke Shields of that time got paid well. And then there was really the hopes, models were hopeful actresses. So you get into the modeling to get the exposure, and then you try to get into television and the movies. And that's what Brooke Shields did. But what did she do? What did her mother? Again, Brooke was a minor at the time. Yeah, Brooke Shields started out even. I think she was 11 or 12 when she did the movie Pretty Baby. That came out in the 1970s. Pretty Baby. She played a lady of the night, and she worked in a brothel. The movie. Yeah, and I think that was her first movie. Now look at that. Excuse me, my nose is just itchy. I'm sorry. But look at that. What mother in her right mind would want her daughter to do a movie like that? Yeah, her parents had got divorced. Brooke Shields' parents got a divorce. And the father was some type of executive, if I remember right. So it's not like she was a starving, they were starving or something. Mother felt forced to put the daughter in that. No, it was opportunity to make money, extra money. And so yeah, she lived in New Jersey, coming to New York City, and she was a famous model. And then she broke into movies. And yeah, I think she broke into movies first, the movie Pretty Baby. And she was she played an 11-year-old lady of the night working in a brothel. And it's like, isn't that child pornography? How come it wasn't considered called out for what it was? It's child pornography. And the movies played this. Hollywood played it, and it was not deemed child pornography. But it is. In fact, I heard that the average age of any prostitute, at least in America, is the age, either they said 11 or 12 or 12 or 13 for the average age of a female entering prostitution. Isn't that something? Isn't that something? So how come the uh, the whole thing of prostitution isn't considered pedophilia market? Why isn't it called out for what it is? If the average age for the girl to start into the field of prostitution, if it's that younger age, that is pedophilia. That is engaging in sex with a young minor. Why doesn't society call it what it is? Also, the movie Taxi was a is yeah, the movie Taxi with Jodie Foster. Jodie Foster is also a famous actress. Her very first modeling job, where she started as a model as a baby. She was an infant model. She was the baby on the Copper Tone, I think it's called Copper Tone. It was a suntan lotion. And the advertisement showed a little baby like a toddler, I should say, a toddler in a diaper, and the diaper was pulled down a little bit, and you see that her boom boom was pale. So body's like tanned, but she has like a suntan mark. Okay, yeah, that was her job. That was her first, I think, her first gig. Actress. We were the same age. She might be 1 month older than me. Yeah, and I remember Jodie Foster. Uh, she did that commercial, and then she did like Walt Disney type movies. Yeah, she always played like a tomboyish like roles. And we all know now what Jodie Foster is. See that? It seems like when you push young people in sexual situations or sexualized situations, it seems like oftentimes these young people become alphabet soup members. Okay, and I do like Jodie Foster growing up as an actress because we're about the same age, and it was nice to see someone my age on TV. That's all where my mind was at that time. It's nice when you're a kid, you want to see other kids on TV, and not just adults. So yeah, I remember that Jodie Foster. You look into that, Jodie Foster. What did she do? Okay, she did the suntan advertisement. It was very suggestive, but played it off like, oh, it's innocent. We don't mean any harm. And then she did the movie Taxi Driver, and she was a 12-year-old prostitute. Is that not pedophilia, people? People, is why isn't it called what it is? That movie came out, I think, in around 1974. Around 1974, that movie came out. Yeah, this is over, what's it? about 50, about 50 years ago. That movie came out almost about 50 years ago. Hello, people. This was going on even back then. The exploitation of children. But it's not called out for what it is. So fast forward now, I'm watching the thing about Abercrombie and Fitch, the former CEO of the company, being arrested for sex trafficking. And the victims in this lawsuit, this arrest, it was done against males, men, young men, and they were promised, if you do these things, they were encouraged to go to parties, adult parties, and have things done to them. And some of them were even drugged. Isn't that something? And so some people are saying that all this is happening because of Puffy. Honey, these things were going on before Puffy was even in the industry. Yeah, I'm older. I'm about 7 years older than Puffy. Yeah. So when I started out in um, college and everything, he was about 10 years old. I was 17, started college, got my first little job, and seeing all these advertisements about Brook Shields, these things that showed women in highly suggestive poses, saying lewd things, but it's covered up. They used it was like a double entendre. You're saying something, but it has a double meaning. And she was paraded on many, many family shows for the family, whole family, the parents and the kids, young kids. Yeah, like was that the the Osmond show? Yeah, Brooke Shields was on the Osmond Show. She was on Johnny Carson's show. Many sitcom, many things, and it wasn't called out for what it was. I'm sorry. I'm still getting over my cold. My cold. Yeah, my throat. Yeah. So um, it's not all. This is not just coming out because like they want to now scapegoat Puffy or Sean Puffy Combs, and implied that he's snitching on someone put out that he's snitching on Abercrombie and Fitch CEO stuff. Honey, he don't have to. Uh-uh. These things were going on way before Puffy was even out there. Yeah, the whole industry, the modeling industry in New York City is like a mecca, the mecca for encouraging young people to leave home, to trek to New York City, to get a modeling job, the hopes of becoming an actress, actor. Yeah. So it happened way before Puffy, because I remember the 1970, but at the time, you see, I was a kid in 50 years ago. I was a kid and I saw all these things. Yeah, they were probably casting couch for children. What about that guy? Oh, what's his name? It was a couple of years ago. Um, oh, brother, how could I? Corey Feldman. That's the name. Corey Feldman. Now he's much younger than me also. Yeah, he could be like 7 years. Oh, yeah, he was a kid. Um, but he started out in commercials, and that was that the 19 oh the early, let's see, I think in the early 80s. Yeah, the 1980s, he was doing movies with young kids, and it turned out that yeah, it was like all of a sudden in the early 80s, it had all these movies with like young teenage boys, about 14 years old, 13, 14, 16 years old. Yeah, it's like all of a sudden all these movies. Oh, brother, how could I forget the names? I forget the names. But yeah, it was like this thing. And I remember how I felt. I felt like, wow, it's like, it's really something how the media, how they screw with your mind, that they're the in crowd. Um, it was the celebration of youth, and it was all glamorous lifestyle, but it wasn't for these people. These young boys, now adults, are speaking out. Yeah, this guy Corey Feldman, he was a child actor, and he did TV commercials also. And he exposed it a couple of years ago. Oh, how could I forget? And yeah, he spoke out about. I think it was before COVID. It was before COVID. Corey Feldman was talking. He's speaking out about the industry, the modeling industry, the young actors, the young men are being sexualized. So it was all before the scandal about the current scandal about Puffy or Sean Puffy Combs. Yeah, it was before they started talking about him. This guy Feldman um, was speaking out, and he was poo-pooed. Even Barbara Walters, the late Barbara Walters. Yeah, Barbara Walters was a very famous um, news reporter. And then she got a TV show called The View. She was on that for years. Yeah, she recently passed away, Barbara Walters. But yeah, Barbara Walters was extremely well known talk show host, to a news reporter. And was that? Was in it could have been 2018 or 2019 with all this scandal. Yeah. And he was poo-pooed. He says, oh God, what's her name? Barbara Walters was it sounded like she was dissing Corey Feldman's statement. He said, how could you say something like that about a whole industry? She as a reporter, she as someone who is in the inside, who's in the industry of news, she would know because people talk. People talk. I'm she's in television herself. She would hear things. I'm sure she would hear things. People talk. And especially go to a party, you're invited to a party, and I don't know. I don't know. Well, either way, how she said, I was very surprised that she kind of like stopped him in his tracks about his statement that these executives in the movie industry, Hollywood specifically, was about what he was talking about, them taking advantage of young men and doing things with them, doing things with boys, with minors. She should have known better. I think Barbara Walters was just covering her ass. Like even like this one reporter from Britain, it's like I forget his name, but this um, news personality from Britain interviewed someone regarding Puffy, and he had like three or four people talking different angles regarding the Puffy scandal, and he made sure that the people, his guests, had contrasting views on the subject, and then this reporter had to apologize publicly for what was talked about regarding these other two, a married couple who are in the hip hop industry, and he was forced to apologize. Could you believe that? He was reporting, and again, he wasn't on any one side, and he had contrasting views on the subject. But because he allowed this lady to speak against this famous couple, he was forced to apologize. Could you believe it? Could you believe it? Again, freedom of the press. Okay. But see, yeah, they have a lot of clout, some of these people in certain industries. And, but harvest time, I remember saying that. Harvest time, people, it's harvest time. And the enemy is trying to clench and entrap any remnant in its kingdom. Yet there is an evil kingdom out there, and now it's payback time. They promise you money, fame, and everything in between. That if you do certain things, you will be rewarded. Well, it's time to harvest. And that's what they're pulling these people down. And maybe they're relying on people pointing the finger about certain things. But I think with the Abercrombie and Fitch, just news story that the former CEO Mike Jeffries, that he's not now arrested, and he's in New York City. He was arrested in New York City for SCX trafficking. You know, this is nothing new. Things are done. Things are done. This trap young guys going to New York City, going to modeling agencies, going to all these places, and everybody knows if you were in that industry or try to get in it, you learn right away. You learn right away that it is an SEX business, that you only got those jobs. If you didn't have SEX with the person, maybe your parent or someone did it for you, right? Someone was doing somebody, and they get in. And into, you get offers. Yeah, I remember there was a documentary a couple of years ago. Yeah, nothing new. But there was a documentary that this girl openly, she's now like in her 20s, but she talked about it. She was in the modeling industry. I didn't know who she was. And the photographer said, hey, give me a, to service the guy, orally. And she does. And after she's done, the photographer says, yes, we're going to use her, give her the other job, give her the next job, give it to her. That's what was happening. She openly said it, what she did. She admitted what she did to get a job. This whole industry. And you know what else I remember? This was in the early 80s. There was a black publication. It's a magazine. And I'm not going to give the name of the magazine, but it was a black magazine. I should say a magazine that is catering to black women. And on the cover was a young black girl. And I say girl because that's what she was. She was 11 years old. This person on a magazine cover was 11 years old, and she has makeup on, and she had this little uh, brim hat. I forget if it was made out of like straw or something. It was a dark color hat, and she's smiling. And I think the hat was on the side, on the angle that she's wearing. She was only 11 years old. And how I know this? Well, I saw the magazine ad, a magazine cover. I met the photographer. Yeah, this is in the early 80s, 1980s. And I met this photographer. Yeah, they had different things, like if you're a hopeful model, you look at, there were certain magazines that, and they have on the back, Go Sees, you have Madison Avenue Handbook. I gotten that, and you look at it. They have different peoples and addresses, and you go on these things. Yeah, and I met the photographer, white guy. Uh, he's from, I think he was from Germany or of German ancestry, and yeah, he used to be married. I think he has a kid, and then by the time I met him, he was he was he was he had a black or an African or West Indian woman living with them. Yeah, he liked black women, and it seemed like it's really weird how it works. That when you get one type of person, like let's say you're a white person, and you took a black person's picture, you see like all your clients that come in, they tend to all be black people. I only saw, let's see, I saw his name in this magazine, and I don't remember who was the person being pictured, but I saw his name and I wanted to do what they call ghosties. And so I called him, and he wanted me to describe what I looked like. Um, and I didn't want to, I was very self common, so I said brown. I said, I'm brown all over. um, which is true, but I didn't want it, see, it just shows, what things were like. Uh, Black had a very negative connotation in the 80s. It still has a negative connotation, but now I embrace the term Black, and I am who I am. Um, there's no such thing as a better race. We are who we are, and we all have value. We all have value. I just want to reiterate that. We all have value, but it's how society makes us want to. It's like priming the pump. When you tell lies for people to believe, and it gets factions and strife between people, and that's what they want. Racism is like any other ploy to cause division. Racism is about creating division, confusion, and start to see through it all. It's all type of things that people could make you fight. Wars. Wars against men and women. All these jealousies. Our nature is being exploited, and all this with the Abercrombie and Fitch and all that. It's harvest time, and I don't believe it's one person or puffy situation, but I think that, see, people are talking, and maybe the victims with the Abercrombie. I think they said about, um, oh, how many people? 11 people or something like that came. 11 John Does. I don't know the exact amount, but it's a handful of John Does that are not speaking out. It would be interesting when the case with this arrest start. When did the investigation start? That would be interesting. But yeah, this trafficking of people, and it seems global. It seems like you bring people in, well, they always like new blood. They always like new blood. And I guess they do parties and things like that. And these people are rewarded for what they do. And they were saying that in these gatherings, that these victims had to do a non disclosure thing. Yep. They confiscated their phones when they go into certain gatherings and were forced to do certain things. Yeah, people are speaking out. But see, it's to gather that momentum and gather that energy. And it's a shifting, it's like when you're able to harvest a former CEO, it's a lot of energy that they acquire. And that's what they want. It's harvest time. So all these activities, it'd be interesting to find out, because of these, remember the designer jeans? What was that all about? What did these girls had to do? And no one said anything really. So it doesn't make an excuse. I'm not excusing it. These are horrible. Horrible, the victims, and the shame that is carried with these people, especially guys, that, I mean, growing up, I never thought that, sorry, my phone is on low energy. Yeah, I would never think that, that boys were targeted. But yes, boys, men are being targeted in this sex trafficking industry. It's evil. It is an evil. And what about some other famous models? Those models from the 1990s, people, you know what I'm getting at. Famous models from the 1990s. Are they going to come out? Some of them you heard, one of them you heard was allegedly trafficking, we call blood diamonds. Blood diamonds. You saw that model in the it was her birthday party, and she had that young girl at her party that came out with Jeffrey Epstein. She came forward and she pointed him out. Jeffrey Epstein, for what was done to her. Yeah, wow. Boy, how time flies, people. It's about 6 years ago. Yeah, I forget her name. Yeah, this girl came out. She's now an adult, and she may even have children. Yeah, she's living out of the country, and she came forward and she pointed Jeffrey Epstein out, and other people pointed him out. This was going on and on, and they go to these parties, and that famous model had Jeffrey Epstein there. That victim was there. And interesting with this famous model and this other famous model, black model in question, she started out as a teenage model, and she told uh, her mother told her no, but she sneaked out anyway, and she went and got accepted in this modeling agency. So the modeling agencies are not complying with, hey, you're a young girl, where's your parent or guardian? And she got in the agency, and she became a top-notch model. Yes, you don't think she had to do things? Yeah, I was told at the very beginning, and I'm very thankful that I stopped pursuing it. I'm very fortunate that, yeah, it is a SEX business. It's understood, like, um, when I was learning about the industry, when I was a teenager, they were, I talked to people, and they were nice enough to tell me they could have taken advantage of me. These two men, um, yeah, they'd be long gone. Yeah, they were long gone, these men. But they were nice enough to tell me. Not all photographers are perverts. I mean, or maybe they felt sorry for me. And one of the photographers said to me, yeah, he was in his early 70s at the time. And he said, you don't seem to get it. He says, look at this picture. Look, he opened up a magazine, a fashion magazine. He said, because I was not performing like, he knew I didn't have a clue what was going on upstairs. And he says, miss, look at this. He says, this is sex. And he pointed, this is sex. This is sex. This is sex. This is what it's about. And another photographer told me, uh, he says, you know something, I'm going to tell you this. He says they use the black models for sex. He said it right out. That's what the black models are for sex. Yeah. So I'm very thankful that I didn't get into that industry. And I'm thankful that the powers above spared me that pain of what I would have had to have done. Yeah, there was also, I knew someone, we started our college together. And yeah, I met, I was 17, she was actually 18. And she pursues modeling. And I remember she was telling me things. Yeah, all these women, when you pursue that type of industry, they will hit on you, meaning that they will proposition you. They will ask you for sex. They will ask. And depending upon how you do, who you do, you'll get the job. So all these people, these models, these high-end models, especially high-end models, how do you get those jobs? You get it because what you do. You either have to do um, they have, yeah, a lot of things are the photographer or the, what do you call it? Like the director, like the, what do you call it? I forget the term, but they design what it's going to look at, what the layout is going to look like. Yeah. and it may not be the owner of the product. It may not even be the owner of the product, but the photographer, the designer, and the photographers and the people behind the scene, bringing in these models and promising them things. Ask them, they're point blank. They ask you, they have you do things. Yeah. It's known. So for this guy here that's saying, oh, well, we're investigating the Abercrombie and Fitch because we heard things in I think he said the media or the news, like it was gossip. And because of gossip, oh, let's investigate this. No, this thing's been going on for 50 years. Things were happening. Girls talk. Photographers talk. Hey, how you doing? Yeah, we to stop by to say hi and to give you a thumbs up. Shine bright, love. Hey, yeah, I'm doing good. I'm doing good. Yeah, I'm getting over my little cold. Yeah, boy, these things are happening this month to me. I had a toothache, and then I fallen around, hit my head, and then I start to get cold light symptoms and everything. So I took it easy. I'm taking it easy for like 2 weeks. Yeah, yeah. So I'm okay. I'm okay. But I just felt the energies out there were happening. And I said, look, I just felt a little bit more vulnerable. Let me just stay indoors for a little bit. Yeah, that's what was happening. Yeah, so going back to the subject with this Abercrombie and Fitch former CEO's arrest, that this person here, who I showed you, let me show again. This person is speaking. Okay, he's in New York City. See that? He said, oh, we heard some news like in the media. So they decided to investigate Abercrombie and Fitch. We didn't hear anything in the media about Abercrombie and Fitch. But you look at these stores, sorry. You look at these stores and everything. Yeah, this Abercrombie and Fitch, the worldwide, I believe. But I remember they had that store on Fifth Avenue, and it always looked weird. The people on their advertisement, I noticed they would get boys, and this lawsuit, well, this arrest of this CEO of former Abercrombie and Fitch, former CEO of Abercrombie and Fitch was arrested for SEX trafficking. Yeah. It was always looking. I didn't understand what that. I actually thought Abercrombie and Fitch was a law office, so that's why I didn't like the name. I said, but why are these people walking around with this thing on? Yeah, so it's supposed to be like a high end clothesline, but it was like they were out there, but they were not out there. They had that big store on Fifth Avenue, but it's like hidden but not hidden. A lot of stores in New York City. Yeah, they even have like restaurants. You never see them advertise. It's blackened out, like, oh, they use like this one store uh where I lived, across the street from where I live. Um, it was a big establishment. It took many months to like the store. It was a restaurant. This other thing. It was a restaurant, and it was like a warehouse, a former warehouse and everything, and they were making it to a restaurant. And the glass, they used this cobalt blue glass. You can't see through it. No name. Oh, they did have a little name, but it was very like in it. You never see people come in or out of it, and it's there for years, for a couple of years. But that pandemic that happened in 2020, at some time they closed down. Yeah. You couldn't tell that it closed down, but I was told they had a security guard out there and they say it closed down. I said, wow, you never saw anybody taking stuff out of it, like when like getting the debris out, whatever. You never saw anything. And then it was bought out again. Something now it's in some other type of restaurant now, another Asian restaurant. But it's like weird. People, these things are going on in plain sight. Yeah, it's like those businesses. They don't advertise what it is, but you know it's like a drug den or something like that. Yeah, you know things like that are happening. But it's again, they don't have a name. You don't see anyone coming in and out, but you know what it is. And it's the same type of feeling I'm getting with even some of these restaurants. Hidden. They don't advertise. But somehow they get the rent paid. The rent in New York City for these establishments are high. How do they stay in business without advertising or having people coming? People are coming in, but they're quiet. At one time I went in there. Yeah, I was like real curious. One day, it was a couple of years ago, I said, hey, maybe I could go there for my birthday. And I was wondering what type of food they even cook. I didn't even know what type of food they cook. So I went in to take a look at the menu. I said, hey, I just wanted to see what your menu was like. And it's like a long, long, long corridor, and then like a front desk with a receptionist of some type, and yes, it had the menus there that you could look at, but the room in the back, right, to her right, you know, to her right, and again, I'm facing her, so my left is her right. Yeah, it was real dark in there. You don't see anything. Wow, what is this? Yeah, I never went in there to eat. No, no. They have things that are done in plain sight, but hidden. It's hidden in plain sight. Yeah, you got these big establishments. They don't advertise. You don't even know what type of food they make, but it's blackened. So you can't even see inside. Yeah, and even that Abercrombie and Fitch store on Fifth Avenue in Manhattan. It's like you don't know how come you don't want to see people to see what type of clothes you have? Everything else they have the displays, the what do you call the windows to see them, the what do you call it? Like, the windows, but the displays. They didn't have that. So why are people going in there? Yeah. It's probably a big, big network, these stores, these fashion designers. Yeah. It'd be very interesting if Calvin Klein, whether his thing, because remember, he did Brook Shields, he utilized Brook Shields to advertise his clothing line in the early 80s. Late 70s, early 80s around. Yeah, I remember all that, Bull. This is over 44 years ago. You had movies out there that Brooke Shields did. Pretty Baby, the movie Taxi with Jodie Foster of a 12-year-old prostitute. How could you call her a prostitute when she's an underage girl? Why isn't it called pedophilia? And you just say, oh, well, it's a prostitute. No, it is a child being trafficked for pedophiles. And you know what other country keeps getting popped up? Well, I shouldn't say keep on, but twice within a 7-day period, I've heard this particular country, this SCX network, Morocco. Morocco. And I want to visit Morocco for the food. They have this culinary, I like good food. But twice I heard within the week that Morocco allegedly uh, permits certain behaviors, especially with boys. Oh my God. And yet it's a Muslim country. I would think that Muslim countries would be very strict about it, but I think there's certain sub laws that if you do people who are at a certain age, it is evil. Let me just say it's all evil. It's evil, evil, evil. And then it's going to be harvest time. And don't think that once the harvest is done, because like harvesting, it's always another sowing. Going to sow the seeds of destruction again, and it's just going to repeat itself over and over again. People, please open up your eyes to these messages. Please open up your eyes. Please protect your children. And a lot of these things happen in the sex trafficking many times, and the parents or the legal guardians know about it and encourage it because the lust for money and fame, and that's how they grab you. Stop falling for it. It's okay to be a square. It's okay to be a square and say, I don't want to do drugs to be popular. I don't want to have sex with so and so to be popular. I don't have to wear these tight jeans or clothing to be popular. Why do you want to be? They want you to be popular because they want to exploit you. They don't love you. They want to exploit your youth and your beauty. Yeah, it's okay to say no. Okay, with that last note, I thank you for watching. Yeah, the poo-poo is going to hit the fan, and a lot of this poo-poo talk is happening with this P. Diddy and now Abercrombie and Fitch. Yeah, it's going on all over, all different people. It's not one whistleblower. These things, as I mentioned on this stream, has been happening even when I was a teenage girl. Yeah. Yeah, don't blame it on one person. It's a whole industry, and these law enforcement, they know about it. People talk about it. People talking. This guy there saying, "Oh, because we heard things." Yeah, people are talking. Girls talk. Boys talk. Yeah, they go to the bathroom and they talk about what they do. They talk about what's been done to them. Some of them may brag about it, and others are in shame. Some people warn people, but they're not believed. They don't want to be believed. I mean, the people don't want to believe them. But it is what it is, okay? Yeah. Yeah, as I said, that 11-year-old model on this black magazine, yeah, this is over 40 years ago. I met the photographer I think the photographer I met took that picture that's in that black magazine. Yeah, and don't think because something is a black magazine of its day that they had black photographers. No. These so-called black companies, black periodicals, they used white photographers. Some of those people were underage girls. And the model on that cover, she was 11 years old, and I was with the photographer at the time, and the girl had called and left a message on his answer machine, and he let me hear it, and he was bragging that she was 11 years old and that she threatened her parents or her mom that if she doesn't allow her to go to become a model, she will run away from home. Brought the girl to an adult party. Brought a 11-year-old girl at an adult party, meaning it was a party with adults, and she was there. What the hell is she going to do? She was 11 years old. That's all I'm saying, yeah? That was a black magazine, a very, very um, established black magazine. It was fashion or articles. Yeah, it was a black magazine. I forget. I'm not going to say the name, but just look on. Let's see, early '80s magazine, a publication. I should say publication. Young black girl with a like a straw hat. Like it was a dark color. It was young, small face. Yeah, she's small face because she was 11 years old. Yes, just saying it. It's nothing new. It's nothing new. Okay. Yeah. Protect your children. Protect your children, whether they be a boy or girl. Okay. Protect your children. It ain't worth it. It's not worth it. Okay. It's not worth put pimping your children out, having them go out and having them used in these adult parties to blackmail officials, etc. Okay. It's an evil industry. And I'm really sorry for those victims out there. Really sorry. My heart goes out to you. My heart goes out to you. Okay. This is Spiritual signing off. Take care, guys.